Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining so promptly. We'll just give that another minute just to let everyone get into the webinar this morning. We'll just give that another 30 seconds and then we'll get going. Okay, it's 1 minute past 10, so let's get moving. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our 21st webinar in this series, exploring how tax technology can help you. I hope everyone had a great bank holiday and we're all raring to go. As always with these things, a couple of very quick housekeeping points. Today's session will be recorded. You'll have an opportunity for questions. Please do ask them through the Q&A option, and I'll pick them up throughout the call, and we'll save some at the end for our guests today. There will be a follow-up session from today's topic for those that would like a deeper dive, and as always, we will keep it to 30 minutes. So, my name's Ian Bowden. For those that I haven't met, I'm a partner and I'm head of BDO's tax automation practice. In this series, what we are trying to do is explore that art of the possible. All of our previous webinars are now on our website. And for those that are YouTube subscribers, you can jump onto our YouTube channel and check out any that you have missed. We do try to bring insights into different areas and try to showcase some of the vendors who are transforming the market. And both of those are true today. Delighted to be joined by Thomson Reuters and a familiar face in Josh Allen, Senior Solution Consultant, who's been with us on a few of our previous webinars, and someone who I don't think that's been on the series before is our Senior Proposition Manager, Briony Kempton, from the Stat Reporting team. And that gives us a clue into today's topic. Thank you both very much for joining. We really do appreciate it. And just before I do hand over to the Thomson Reuters team, who's going to provide us with an overview of what they're able to offer, I just thought I'd pass over to Matt Balls to give you a bit of a snapshot in the world of stat reporting, what's happening, what's coming soon, and what we should consider. So, Matt, can I pass over to you, please?
Yeah, thanks, Ian, and thanks for having me on. I was actually previously in Ian's team, and I moved over to financial reporting a year or so ago, and so I'm now a director in the financial reporting team here at BDO, and my focus is very much on statutory reporting software, and we've created a team, an advisory team around that, and what my team does is we help clients to select the most appropriate statutory reporting technology, and then having selected that technology, we'll help clients to implement. And once implemented, we can then provide ongoing support. And what this has enabled us as a firm is to be a full service firm when it comes to financial reporting, because now whether or not you're outsourcing to us or we're doing some form of co-sourcing, or indeed if you want to insource and generate your statutory financial statements for yourself, we can support you in that and that journey to get set up with the software. But the sort of context for this and the reason for the creation of the team is because there has been an accelerating demand for dedicated software. Now, generally across tax and financial reporting, all of the automation points are relevant. Technology does bring standardization and the efficiency and the control. But what's different in the world of financial reporting in recent times is the move to digitalization that's been driven by governments. And in the UK, as recently as 2023, we had the Economic Crime and Corporate Transparency Act. Actually, I think that might have come into force in 24, but it's titled 23. And Companies House refer to this as being a digital channel shift. What they've told us is this is going to mean that in the UK alone, there's going to be 1.6 million additional filings people needing to file. It's 1.6 million filings, but it's actually 900,000 new companies that will need to, or new businesses that will need to file for the first time digitally. So that's going to become mandatory, and we're expecting that to come in the next 2 years. We haven't been given an exact timetable for it. It seems to have been sort of 12 to 24 months for a while now. But yeah, that's going to come in soon enough. And with that in mind, that drives this demand for technology. And so I'm very pleased that we've got Josh and Briony joining us today. And they're going to be showing us ONESOURCE Statutory Reporting, which is one of the products which we like at BDO. We use it ourselves. We use several products actually, but this is one of the products we use. If you outsource to us and you ask us to prepare statutory financial statements on your behalf, those may be prepared in ONESOURCE Statutory Reporting. But we're also certified implementers of the product. So we have helped many corporates to implement the solution, and then once implemented, we can help those businesses to support the solution if that's what they would like us to do. So yeah, let me pass to Josh and Briony, and thanks very much for having me in.
Hoping everyone can see that screen. Good morning, everyone. Thanks, everyone.
Can't see your screen yet, Briony.
No, I'm just hopefully sharing.
Excellent. Yeah, we've got it.
Fantastic. Thanks, Ian. Thanks, Matt. Now, as Matt just explained, in a moment, Josh is going to go into a demo of ONESOURCE Statutory Reporting. But just before that, I just wanted to set the scene slightly. So I think what sets Thomson Reuters apart from the competition is that we are Thomson Reuters ONESOURCE. And as shown on the slide, it's one cloud platform that supports a number of applications for tax and trade professionals, including statutory reporting that Josh will come on to in a moment. Now, this platform is embedded and connected. It provides enterprise-wide visibility, it's centrally managed, and it's scalable to grow with your business. It's also intelligent. So we're building out our AI functionality with Co-Counsel, and this is to support customers in the way that they work and the information that they need to help them. Now, if we look at this in a slightly different view, and we're looking now at a process overview with the data moving through this compliance process. So you've got your data sitting over here on the left-hand side. This could be in your ERP system. It could be in another system that you use. And this can then be brought into the ONESOURCE platform, utilising support applications such as Dataflow or work papers, or using APIs. And we are seeing a lot more customers using these now to drive more efficiency through the process. The data that you bring in is used in by the various applications, as you can see here, that you also saw on that circle. Obviously, today we're going to be concentrating on statutory reporting, but whichever application that you happen to be using, they're producing the required reporting. That could be a tax return or, as we're looking at today, a set of financial statements. And data can also be extracted and used in other applications, such as you can see here, Power BI. And this is to provide insights to support your decision making. And again, this can be done via APIs. So we're looking at connectivity, not just across the ONESOURCE suite of products, but also how your business works and the systems that you use. And just to give an example of that connectivity, there's like a direct connector between ONESOURCE corporate tax and ONESOURCE stat reporting, so that the data can be pulled in from the financial statement process into that corporate tax process. Now, moving on specifically to ONESOURCE stat reporting, just want to highlight a few things here. We provide compliant content for up to 45 or 45 plus countries. So basically what this does is standardize your process globally. We have language translation literally at the flick of a button. So you may have a template that is in for French GAAP, and that is in the French language. But to enable those who may not be natural French speakers, it can be easily translated into English. That isn't just the template, that's the whole user interface as well. Our country templates are updated regularly to ensure that they're compliant, to make sure you are compliant. And to help as well reduce that whole the time that compliance cycle takes, there are predefined and pre-linked disclosures linked to your source data. And to help with things like tracking through journals, changes that came in from the initial TB to the final extended TB, there's a standard audit documentation pack as well to help with that audit trail. Now, efficiency is driven through templates. As I said, we support country templates, jurisdictional templates for 45 plus countries, and those are our Thomson Reuters master template that sits at the top. But we're very conscious that you may need to make customizations to that content. You may need to amend or add in some disclosures that are very specific to your group, your organization, and these are put into your organizational, this client level template. It is that template then that drives the publication of all the rest of the entities in that group. It helps drive that standardization and that efficiency through the process. And just a quick overview of the countries that we support, as you can see here. So it's 45 plus countries, and where reporting is required in local GAAP, it'll be in local GAAP, and where that reporting is required in local language, those templates are also in the local language. So enough for me. I think what you'd want to do now is see Josh, and he's going to give you a high-level demo of stat reporting. So over to you, Josh. Thank you.
Okay, just let me know when you can see the login screen.
Yeah, we've got you, Josh.
Yep, excellent. Okay, so we'll get straight into it. Just going to log into the ONESOURCE platform. So for those of you who haven't seen the ONESOURCE platform before, when you think of the slide Briony brought up a second ago, that journey from your data in and the different solutions, effectively this is your hub for those solutions. So they all sit in one place within the platform, whether that's for tax purposes, for finance purposes, or others as well. Okay, so once we come in here, we have these various tiles which represent those different applications. You have this central administration area. Again, so if you are looking at multiple solutions over time, you can manage sort of users, you manage all that centrally as well, which also highlights probably something quite important, that these are web-based solutions. So you're not having to install things onto your systems. So very nice and IT light, but it does also help where you are working, perhaps globally, you've got people in different places wanting to log in, maybe give access to auditors, or even give access to perhaps the tax team, so they can come in and see the workings behind the accounts rather than having to ask you constantly questions and things within that. That can all be managed through that central administration area, and you can tailor a person's what they can do to their role. Are they responsible to certain countries or certain entities? Do they only have read-only access, for example? Okay, so we can centralize a lot of that administration within here. And if we come down to our stat reporting application, we just see our tile here, we can launch into this. So when I log into the main stat reporting piece, the first thing I will see are the entities that I have been given access to, and I have access to most of them in here. Okay, and if we take, let's take for example this one here, UK 004. If I expand this, we can see we've got previous periods in there, and I can go in and view those. Historic periods are locked down, so there's always that kind of control and things there, but we can go work on the latest version. And Briony was talking about different templates. So for example, this one here is using the IFRS, the IFRS 102 templates. You can see what others using IFRS as well within here. But also we do have some overseas entities. Okay, so for example, I think Briony mentioned France. Can't see France, but I can see a German entity. So let's go into this German entity as a starting point. I don't speak German. I have no desire to learn German either, but you'll see when I come into the system, if I am a native German speaker, that it is actually in German here. But what you can do is just translate into English, and the system will automatically convert for you. Same with the actual accounting, with the financial statements as well. So we can see these are just loading up. The contents and things here have been converted to English. So whether you're just a stakeholder that's doing a review of an overseas set of accounts and you want to be able to read that in English, or maybe you've got a shared service center where predominantly you're working within English, you have that ability. You can see the accounting information in here. So you're not having to pay to get someone to do that translation as well. And of course, if I switch this back, it will then convert it back into German. So that content is provided in the local language that is required for filing purposes. Okay, so this has been an example of some of the language capabilities in here. You also have the ability to add in text. Again, I don't speak English, don't speak German even, and we could just type something in here and it will convert it for us into the relevant language. So you can edit and customize your notes in that way. Okay, so it's very much a global solution. You can use it for overseas territories. I think there's over 45 countries that we provide content for, and then we have more generic templates which can be adapted for other territories as well within here. But today we're going to stick more with an English set of accounts. Okay, so I'm just going to come down to this entity here and I'll open this one up and we'll use this as a bit of an example to pull some data in and work through a bit of a set of financial statements. When we come into the accounts, as we saw on that kind of German schedule, we have these various reports and schedules in here. So you've got your company accounts. The solution can also do your consolidated accounts as well. But we have all these supporting schedules in here, like extended trial balances and lead sheets as well to help with all that audit trail as well. Let's come into the accounts themselves. And that'll just take a second to load. On the left-hand side, we have a contents page. We call it the bookmark. You'll notice some of these are ticked and unticked. So this goes back to what we're saying about how you can have a template where you set the terminology and add notes and things within it. But it may be when you get down to a specific entity that you go, well, we don't need a cash flow statement in this entity or a director's report, for example. So you can still untick these things down at that level. Okay. So I'm just going to get rid of this zoom thing on my screen, blocking my view. Right. Let's also put this in full screen. There we go. So we've got our accounts here. We've got things like the name, the accounting period, all those little things like accounting periods. When they change, those will automatically update. You've got your contents page. Again, if you were to insert notes or change things, and that update, the notes and references would automatically update as well. These are also hyperlinked. Those are small things I appreciate, but they are a bit of a pain. You know, every time you make a change, you've got to make sure your references and your profit numbers and things are all updated. Okay. You'll see it here at the moment, we've currently got no data in here. You'd normally probably have some in your prior period data as well, but we can see our income statement is currently blank. If we come down, if I scroll down to the balance sheet, we haven't got anything in here as well. So before we progress any further, let's actually just bring in some data so we can see this actually populate a set of accounts just using our ordinary standard template, see that live. And it just goes to show really kind of how quickly you can start to populate the accounts. For today, I'm just going to import an Excel file, but Briony mentioned earlier, we are increasingly seeing people integrate with their finance systems, particularly if they've got a lot of entities and they want that kind of direct feed of data into the system. So that is perfectly possible. We will, for today, just bring in an Excel file. So I'm just going to drill down to my TV. Here we go. Bring that in. Sorry, I've still got the Zoom thing. There we go. Let's get it out of the way. Okay, and then we can progress. Okay, there are some flexibility in here. So if you're getting files in different formats and things, we can account for those. We can see here it's actually picked up the account code description amount already for us. So we're just going to, for time today, just going to progress through here and get this import running. When you import data, there's control checks in here, so it will make sure things like the TV is balancing within here, but it will then bring that data in as well. Okay, so we've got the source data in. Now, I know there will be additional adjustments, reclassifications and journals and things that you might want to upload as well or input into the system. Those you might make directly in your ERP system, and if you do that, you can bring those in as well. But often, typically, people will start making those directly within here. And those journals can be extracted to be fed back into your finance system. You might notice here, I actually have another tab where we've got another journal in here. What I can do is go back to, say, a previous period, if I need to, take a copy of that journal, and then I can paste that maybe as a reversing journal or the values as well. So you can track your journals across the periods in here as well, which is quite handy. Okay, so we've got a TB in. We've just pasted a journal in a reversing sense. Sorry, I've still got something in the Zoom in the way. I can't get to my heading. Let's go back to our accounts. We should see that data come through and populate the accounts themselves. Okay, so that TB data has been mapped in to produce our financial statements, which will just give a second. Okay, here we go. Oh, I don't seem to have. Oh, there we go. There we go. So if I come up to my income statement, we just brought in the current period. We haven't got prior period in here at the moment, but we've got our current period. We can see our income statement things has been populated. You also have the ability to build conditional statements within here as well. So rather than having to update things like the profit number or the loss number every time a change is made or a journal is posted, the system can automatically update that for you. The same with things like KPI calculations and so on as well. So we can see the statement is updated to say the profit for the year is 12 million. You can apply rounding automatically as well if needed. If we scroll down a bit, we'll also see our balance sheet position come through into here as well. And again, you'll see we've got the footnote references in here as well. So if we jump to trade and other receivables, we'll see that our footnotes are being populated within here. Okay, so bringing the data in, populating our set of accounts, we can then of course do our reviews. You might have various questions and queries that you need to make. So for example, if I bring up review comments, you'll get a list of any queries or comments that you are making within the system on here. We can see that a few have been made. So maybe you've notified those in tax to say the first draft is done, they're coming in doing a bit of a review. They can come in and do that directly within here rather than going back and forth in emails and things and capture all that within here. They'd also be able to access potentially the system so they could see the journals and the workings behind the data in here. So hopefully asking you less questions when they're trying to do their tax analysis. Okay, which probably leads us on to a little bit of that integration on the tax side of things as well. Okay, we do have workflow in here. Okay, so this can help you manage the process, not just within the finance team, but also perhaps coordinating across teams as well. So here we've built a workflow process. This can be a completely custom process to kind of match what you need within the organization, from importing the TB and posting adjustments as we've done just there. But maybe the next step is to update the tax note. So we could just mark our bit as complete, notifies tax that this is ready for them to come and do their review. Okay. And if they're using OneSource Corporate Tax, this would sit within the same platform. They'd be able to go into here. We're not going to do a detailed demonstration of the corporate tax solution, but we do want to highlight that integration piece as well, because this is particularly helpful from a tax perspective. They often lose a lot of time having to go back to the finance team, trying to understand how the numbers flow into the accounts, asking you in finance lots of questions, which takes up your time as well. Whereas in here, what they're able to do, so they can go into their computation. So you can see we've got one here. It's got no current data. They can simply go to the import section and they can run an import and pull the data directly across from the stat reporting solution. So we can really streamline these processes for us. Sorry, I've typed a button. There we go. What are we looking for? Back the imports. There we go. Sorry. So let's just show the data coming across from the stat reporting solution. I'm just going to select the entity so we can see the detail in there. We'll be able to see that TB as well as that journal that we just posted. Again, if, for example, they do a first draft of maybe the tax disclosures to go in the accounts, if you then make a later adjustment, they can come in here, see that information, and append that to their existing workings as well. But we're able to come in, just bring that data across into OneSource Corporation Tax, which typically takes about 10 seconds or so. Naturally, because I'm presenting today on a webinar, it will take a little bit longer, it's always the way, but we'll be able to have that data come across. I missed a step, apologies. Let's just do that again very, very quickly. Bottom. Okay, I didn't select the entity. I needed to know which entity to populate. Let's just do that import again. Okay, so hopefully this time that will be a little bit quicker. Again, like I say, normally typically about 10 seconds or so within here. Okay, so you do have that integration between the two applications to help cut out maybe the back and forth and have that more seamless flow of data coming through here. And we can see that's gone through, it says partially successful. Again, there's control checks within the system, within OneSource Corporate Tax to make sure it's putting the data through correctly as well. We'll just get a little data updates available in here. Okay, so by using the stat reporting solution, not only are you streamlining and helping drive efficiency within your process, but also within the tax process as well. And for those who are not aware, OneSource Corporate Tax will actually produce the tax disclosure notes which can be used in the financial statements. So we can see we've got those here being produced pretty quickly, along with the tax rec and things as well. So the way I always used to work was tax would typically then send us this information, and we would come into sorry, wrong button. We would come into our tax notes, and we would then manually update that. And I was typically doing that within Excel. So if I just jump to our financial statements, let's just jump to our income statement. Again, we can jump to, say, the tax note within here. Okay, we can see we've got some information here. We've got our tax rec, which has actually already got some data in here. Okay, you know, the old way of dealing with this would be to enter data directly within the system. Okay, so if I come into our notes within here, you know, maybe they sent you the data across. You could come in and, you know, manually update within here. I'm just going to make a big adjustment as well, just to make it kind of obvious what we're doing there. But also, you know, data is going to come from your TV, but for a number of your footnotes, you'll have various workings and calculations that you need to do to be able to produce those. You know, not everything is going to come from the TV as well. So we can incorporate your offline workings and link those into producing the accounts as well. And one of the ways we can do that is actually to just do an export, and this will export the note into Excel, where we will then have an Excel add-in where you could have linked your workings into that to push data up into the system. So you can see here, if I just go to our add-in, we can hit retrieve data, and that's going to pull through data that we've got within our existing stat reporting system. And again, you know, we might have calculations that link into this to populate data within here. What I've actually got, just as a bit of an example, I know we're a little bit on time, so I will wrap up very quickly, but I have got a working here, which is pulling data from ONESOURCE corporation tax, but also pulling data from stat reporting, and we can use that to update your footnotes as well. So I'll just do this really quickly, because I know, Ian, we were pretty much at time, aren't we?
We are indeed, but I think that's been really helpful while that's loading, and perhaps I'll ask a first question whilst that's loading to buy you some time. But I think the interesting point from a tax person's perspective as this comes into play is, are you seeing customers at the moment starting to think about MTD for corporate tax and how they link it in with the stat accounts, and the fact that you're going to have to file your corporate tax returns at the same time? This seems like a no-brainer in terms of being able to pass information back and forth. Is those conversations happening at the moment, Josh?
Yeah, absolutely. With the slight caveat that no one fully knows what MTD is going to look like for corporate tax, but that is certainly definitely on people's minds. We've done a lot of enhancements to the corporate tax solution with that in mind already over the last few years, and this integration is one part of that in here. And you can see we're pulling data here. We could build control checks and things in here, but rather than, you know, manually update the notes in the stat reporting, I can also send the data from corporate tax up into it as well. So if we hit just send selected data, go back into our stat reporting solution, that note will be updated as well. So yeah, MTD for corporation tax, but obviously there's a filing requirement, digital filing requirement for the accounts as well. I would say often when we speak to the tax teams, they want to integrate with their finance systems, you know, which is great, and we can absolutely do that. But I point out from a process point of view, it tends to be better if you can link to your stat reporting process, because that's generally their source of data. So that integration is a really key part for them as well. Okay.
And a couple of quick admin questions that have come through. Number of countries templates are available?
In terms of templates for the content we provide, I think it's around 45 or 45 plus countries that we provide, but we do then have templates which can be adapted. So we have groups who are, you know, operating in over 100 countries, and they're using this for all their territories. Okay.
Yeah, we can certainly help with that as well. So when we've implemented this for large corporates, often they might be in a territory where there isn't a template, but perhaps it's IFRS based, and we can start from that, and we can get to what we need.
Yeah. Okay. I will stop sharing. We're at time.
We will. Thank you. We are coming up to our 10:30 cutoff, so if there aren't any other questions, it's for me to thank Josh and Briony for joining us this morning. We really do appreciate their time. It's always great to see how the link between the finance and the tax is going to be working. A lot of groups are still relying on Excel and Word documents for their statutory financial statements. It becomes difficult when data has to move and data is changing at that type of level. How do we create those audit trails? So it's great to see solutions that are available that are catering for that and en masse as well. So as always, thank you for joining today. Really do appreciate your time. The next one will be in a month's time. There will be follow-ups with Josh and Briony for anybody that would like a proper deeper dive with those sessions. And if you have any questions specifically, Mr. Bowles will be very happy to answer any questions you have on statutory reporting questions. So thank you all very much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you. Bye now.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.